These are the top 10 things I do not like about living in Korea. If you're new here, this is David. I've been living in Korea for almost 8 months now, and I absolutely love living in Korea. I think Seoul is one of the best cities in the world, so take this list with a grain of salt. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. YouTube tells me that only 7% of you are subscribed, so press that button. Let's get those numbers up. Let's dive right in. Number one is gonna be the sewage smell. Yes, it smells like sewage in a lot of the streets. People forget that Korea was considered a third world country not that long ago, like within my lifetime. Korea is super high tech and super developed in such a short period of time, but there's still some infrastructure that isn't quite there yet, and the sewage system is one of those things. I don't mind it as much outside on the streets, but it gets really bad when it comes into the house. The drains in your bathroom usually are connected directly to the sewage system, and the smell actually comes up into your bathroom and into your house. Especially where we're living right now, we're not living in an apartment, we're living in an actual standalone house, and I wish somebody told me this before we moved in because the smell some days is just really bad. It's not just the smell. Because of the sewage system, there's a lot of mosquitoes, and mosquitoes love me. I get so many mosquito bites every day. We had to completely mosquito-proof this house. We taped every single crevice completely closed, and they still get in somehow. We had to get a mosquito net for the bed, and that was the only way that I can get a peaceful night of sleep without getting completely destroyed by mosquitoes. Number two is the air pollution. A lot of it is caused by the cars here in Seoul. It's a very dense city with a lot of traffic, but at the same time, a lot of it's coming from other countries as well through air currents. I did not know what the AQI scale was before I moved to Korea, and we got schooled quickly. The first time we heard about it, we were hiking in Namsan Tower, and Ajima told us we shouldn't stay out too long because the AQI was over 400. I had no idea what that meant at the time, but Kim woke up the next day sick. From that day on, I always thought that 400 above was bad and anything below that was okay. I was completely wrong. Apparently 0 to 50 is the actual range of okay, and anything above that is considered unhealthy. Above 200 is like really bad, and 400 is extremely hazardous, unheard of. It rarely happens, but it happens a lot in Seoul. Eventually I put a little widget on my watch so I can always keep an eye on it, and even right now it's 124, which is a very unhealthy range. But in Seoul, this is considered pretty normal. Number three are the taxi drivers. Let me explain. Korea has a reputation of having really nice people. When you walk down the street, most people are really nice. But there's a yin and yang to all of these things. If you have all these nice people on the streets, where are all the mean people? They're driving the cabs. Seriously, I am not exaggerating. The difference between how nice Korean people are and how angry Korean cab drivers are, it's night and day. These are the angriest people in the world. First of all, I guarantee you will get carsick in a Korean cab. They accelerate hard, they brake hard, they curse at people around them. They check all the boxes of a stereotypical road rager. Honking, cursing. On top of that, they're generally really rude to customers as well. They make a big deal every time you have something like a suitcase. Once we were walking around in Itaewon without an umbrella and it started to rain suddenly. We called the cab to take us home because it was about a 15-minute walk away. The entire drive, the cab driver did not let off on complaining that we called him on such a short ride. He kept saying things like, next time don't call a cab, don't give me rides like this, and he didn't want to take us to our house because it was in a small alley. I didn't want to deal with his complaining anymore, so I just told him to drop us off on the main street and we walked the 2 blocks to the house. Number four is the lack of authentic foods. Korea does have a lot of options for ethnic foods, but the flavor profile is adjusted to the Korean flavor profile, which is usually a little bit sweeter than most countries. For example, in America, I think we prefer things that are salty and fatty, like potato chips, but even the American branded chips here in Korea are on the sweeter side and less salty. Now, I think this is starting to change a little bit. As Korea is becoming a wealthier nation and people are starting to travel more, they're starting to learn about other cultures and starting to appreciate those flavor profiles. For example, a long time ago, I had a really hard time finding good pho in Korea. Now it's very common for Koreans to travel to Vietnam. They try the authentic pho, and I think when they come back to Korea, they miss those flavor profiles and they're looking for authentic pho. And because of that, there's more of an incentive for restaurants to open up with an authentic experience. Still, I have a hard time finding things like good pizza, good tacos, and still I would say that most ethnic foods here fit the Korean flavor profile. Number five is the housing system. Now this is a big one. The Korean housing system fits a jeonse system, which is completely unique to Korea. Long story short, you put down a really big deposit, something like $100,000 up to $1 million, and then you live there rent-free for like 2 years. This is really hard for foreigners coming in that are not used to that system. On top of that, Korea doesn't really have managed apartments. Every single unit in Korea is condoized, so it's owned by an individual person. When you try to rent in a different country, you usually just walk into the front office and ask them if they have a rental available. In Korea, every single unit is owned by an individual individual person, so you're dealing directly with that person. Even if you can work out a monthly rental system, you're still expected to put down a high deposit. For example, our place, we put down about $7,000 for a deposit, which is considered very low in Korea. On top of that, the listings are really fragmented across various websites, and you'll run into a lot of scams, fake listings, and bait and switches. Number 6 is needing a Korean phone number. In Korea, you can't get a Korean phone number unless you have a registration number. That means you have to be a citizen or you have to have a visa. You need a Korean phone number to sign up for almost any app. This includes food delivery apps, Coupang, which is basically like the Amazon of Korea, and even for video games. This means as a foreigner, you can't order food delivery, you can't order anything online, you can't ride the shared scooters or the shared bikes on the streets. But the worst thing probably is making reservations. If you want to make reservations for things like haircuts, skin appointments, you generally need a phone number to do so. Now, there are workarounds that we use. Like sending a DM on Instagram is usually a good way, but it doesn't always work. You also usually need a phone number to wait in line for a restaurant. A lot of restaurants are starting to change the systems that allow you to wait in line using an email or by sending you a QR code, but there have been plenty of times where we had to walk away from a restaurant because we didn't have a Korean phone number. Number 7 is the cost of fruits and groceries. It's just really expensive. Number 8 is rush hour. Most people in Korea are on the exact same schedule. They start work at 9 and they end work at 5, which means if you take the subway during that time, you will literally be squeezed shoulder to shoulder with everybody else. And don't even try to take a cab to avoid it because the streets are even worse. Honestly, the best thing to do is be mindful of when rush hour is and just completely avoid that time when you're traveling. Number 9 is the fad culture. To be honest, I think the fad culture is really fun in Korea. There's always something new and exciting, and Koreans are generally just very, very creative in everything that they do. However, the fad culture burns hot and dies fast. When a fad starts, it seems like literally everybody has to participate. When financiers were the hot thing, literally every single cafe had financiers. Now that salt bread is a thing, it seems like it's the only option at a lot of cafes. Most of these fads will literally last like 2 to 3 months. Before you even realize that it started, it's already over. Number 10 is a weird one. This is the mandatory drinking culture here in Korea. Fun fact about me, I actually don't drink at all. And that has never really been a problem in the US, but a lot of places in Korea, it's actually required that you order alcohol. So many times Kim and I have walked into a restaurant and ordered food and they tell us that we have to order a drink each. Now I understand business is business and they need to make money, but I generally eat a lot. So between the two of us, we usually order like 3 entrees and 2 appetizers. We also always order non-alcoholic beverages or soda on the side. So we're spending plenty of money in this establishment, but no, you still have to order an alcoholic beverage. There have been times where we're in a neighborhood hungry and frustrated and we're walking from place to place and every single place keeps telling us that we have to order alcohol. This one time we were so hungry, frustrated, and tired that we just turned to the table next to us and said, "Hey, what do you guys want? We'll just order you some extra alcohol and give it to you for free." All of this just so we can get some food. In the US, there's plenty of places that require you to order one item on the menu to sit down. Even if it's a bar, you can order food or a non-alcoholic beverage and it's fine. I've never heard of a place in the US that requires you to order alcohol, but that's the thing here in Korea. Overall, I think Korea is one of the best places to live and one of the best places to visit. I would highly encourage you to come here and check it out. But if you're a foreigner, especially an American traveling here, these are some things that you might want to keep in mind. If you found this interesting, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.